Hey everybody, it's Phil Strizzulo from Select Software Reviews, and today I'm talking to Geri Reilly about the HR tech that she's using in her business. We're going to kind of dive into the company a little bit, her background, and then what specific technologies she's using, how she's using them, and any advice that she might have for other practitioners out there who are looking to buy similar technology. Geri, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the insights that you're going to share.
My pleasure.
Do you mind, I guess, just maybe giving us a little bit of background on yourself and what role that you currently have?
Sure. I'm at Karyopharm Therapeutics as the Senior Director of Talent Acquisition. I've been with the company for a couple of years. I was with Athena Health, healthcare IT company for 12 years prior. We are probably somewhere in the range of about 380 headcount, end the year somewhere around 425 this year. In the 2 years that I've been here, we've added about 150 and 170 people year after year. And we're halfway through the year at 77, and we'll probably end somewhere around 150 again this year.
Nice. That's awesome. You guys aren't slowing down much. What sort of talent are you specifically recruiting mostly?
We're recruiting right across the board. We're recruiting, various sub-functions within our R&D, clinical, CMC, which is our manufacturing. We are a commercial biopharma company, so we've got, probably 125 to 150 people that are in commercial-related roles, sales and marketing and market access. And right across the board, we've got positions in every function.
Awesome. And are they fairly geographically distributed or mostly in the Boston area?
We've got our sales force, largely our kind of commercial team is largely remote and field-based. And we've got, I don't know what our head count in Newton is right now, but probably somewhere in the 100 to 150-ish, maybe in Newton.
Okay, awesome. And I guess, what are sort of the top, two or three things that are on your mind? Is it just how do we just keep this, engine running? Is it building top of funnel? Is it employer branding? Is it specific, engineering talent or diversity hiring?
I was pleasantly surprised, after coming out of a 12-year run from healthcare technology where it was a daily challenge to make sure that we had diversity represented across the company in leadership roles and specifically in technology positions. I've found that, at least at this company, and I think it is a biotech phenomenon, is that it is naturally diverse. We've got, as I said, 375 or 80 employees speaking 23 different languages. So the average age is significantly higher than what I came from in healthcare IT. So fortunately, there's a natural diversity in this industry, and I don't need to do a lot of, heavy lifting there. Employer branding, we're relatively unknown, even though we have an FDA-approved drug to market. So we are strongly working on the employer branding. Most people think that because unemployment is so high that it should be much easier to find talent, but it isn't. The industry segment that was really impacted is not the segment that we would typically hire from. And I would say employer branding and just, keeping up with the pace of our business with a, very good pipeline those are our top two initiatives.
Got it. Sounds good. Yeah, it makes total sense. I think you're probably going after a fairly specialized talent pool that's still very much in demand. People still need to take care of themselves regardless of what's going on in the economy.
Right. And we're in Newton, and most everyone else is in Cambridge, right? And it's, we're not easy access with, train line or commuter rail. So although we do have cool offices and free parking and lots of other things that are enticing, it's a lot easier for folks to be able to work in the mecca of Cambridge with other biotech if that's what they're sweet spot is.
Yeah. And you're competing against all these mega companies with their budgets and brands and many interesting products to work on, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for kind of setting the table for this. I'd love to dive into what some of the tools are that you're using in talent acquisition, and maybe even hit on this some for kind of general HR at the end of the interview, if that's interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like just at the core of it, what are you guys using for an applicant tracking system?
So we are with ISEMS, which we implemented, about within the first 6 months of my being at the company, when I discovered that we had a third party person managing our website. And when I went to apply, it was down with big red letters stating that there was an issue. It was clear that that was one of the number one things that I needed to do, was to, pull together a cross-functional team and vet several applicant tracking options and make a decision on what was right for us, given where we were and where we were heading. So, we went through, as I said, I probably had a cross-functional team of about 10 different people from across our organization that went through several pitch meetings. We narrowed it down to 3. They had a second opportunity to come in and address, a certain set of bulleted points that we wanted to dig a little bit deeper on. It really came down to Lever and ISEMS. We ended up going with ISEMS from both a customer service and just a kind of name recognition, and giving us the faith that we needed to have, that as we doubled and tripled year after year, that it would be something that would grow with us, and that we wouldn't outgrow.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Pretty good criteria there. Is there anything beyond the career site, I guess, that sort of stands out about ISIMS, the way that you guys are using it?
On our career site?
Or just in general, how you're using the system beyond, it sounds like career site was like an important thing.
Yeah. So given that branding is something that is a press for us, I just spent 2.5 days out in New Jersey at ISEM's headquarters, going through their, like, for lack of a better term, their super user training to, the plus and the minus is that it's such a highly customizable solution, that you can do almost anything that you want to with it. And there's so much that I and other users of ISEMS don't know. It was amazing to be a part of a group of, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 people, where the light bulb went on constantly over the course of the 2.5 day period for myself and other people. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I could do this or that. Or, one thing in particular that I've just started to do is put a couple of videos out on our company page, which was rather vanilla and stark. And we've got a new PR IR person that I'm working closely with to try to build out not only our career page, but a LinkedIn Life page and a Glassdoor page, and see what we can lift and shift across the different branding opportunities that we have subscribed to.
That's awesome.
So I think that we're in our infant stages on what you're going to see on our career page. I think that we have a lot more to come there, even embedding videos in our job descriptions and doing some other cool things. I recently just signed a pilot program with Appcast. So I worked over the last 2 weeks between Appcast and ISEMS to make sure that we had, the right integration and pixel set, and it was reporting out in the way that it needed to, and it pulled the data effectively from ISEMS. So I think that I've spent more time in the first 2 years with ISEMS, just making sure that we as a small recruiting team understand how to use it and report from it. And now we're starting to spend a little bit more time, or I am in particular, on what we can potentially do to become more sticky and get a higher conversion rate with people landing on our page and actually clicking into our jobs, and having some form of, for lack of a better term, maybe bring in a little bit of gamification, or just give them a reason to kind of hang with us and complete the application process.
That's awesome. You mentioned Appcasts, which I sort of bucket into, like, kind of sourcing that's like top of funnel, right? It's helping you to distribute your jobs in a programmatic way that gets the right number of applicants to a given rec. So you have a lot of confidence you're going to make that hire, but you're not overspending on various paid media outlets, LinkedIn, job boards, etc. What else are you doing from a top of funnel perspective, like in terms of sourcing or really anything?
Yeah, sure. So we have, the LinkedIn job slots are a part of I just rewrote LinkedIn contract, Glassdoor contract, ISOM's contract, and doing a pilot on Appcast, as I mentioned. But I redefined and cleaned up our source codes within ISOMs so that I could put it into fewer buckets that were more kind of related and relevant, and we could digest the information a little bit better and easier from a graphing perspective and a presentation perspective and a tracking perspective. So it became clear to me that when I looked at my kind of job board, so if I look at just this year to date data of our 77 hires and I look at our job board category, the good news is employee referrals has gone up significantly. Agency spend has gone down significantly, and job boards is largely from Indeed, or has to date been from Indeed. So that indicated to me that as I rewrote my LinkedIn contract, I didn't necessarily need to pay for as many job slots as I was using. And I also made a slight reduction on the recruiting team given the COVID impact on our business. So repurpose some of those dollars. So we've got the LinkedIn job slots, we've got, Glassdoor with a job posting component, we've got Appcast. I've tried Indeed Indeed sponsored jobs in the past. But I think Indeed, quite frankly, does fairly well for you in an organic sense. And sponsoring jobs through Indeed in the healthcare IT area was probably better than what I've seen in the biotech space. I think it is much more niche, and that I need to find more posting opportunities either through specific organizations or groups, or the benefit of Appcast with its 10,000-ish vendors and its ability to kind of constantly modify based on its algorithms and what you're kind of seeing it produce for you as a quality candidate, and then target those particular channels is what I really like about that for now. But I'm only a couple of weeks into it.
Yeah, it's really nice, and theoretically, at least, it's sort of something that once it's set up, it's going to continue to learn and optimize more or less on its own. Another sort of random tactic that I've found is useful is on LinkedIn. They have these pipeline builder ads, which are basically targeted for people who are more passive job seekers. And what I found is that for super niche roles, they can be really effective for roles where you might have, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 people in the country that have that job title. When they see an ad that has copy that speaks to them, they're like, oh, wow. And they convert at much higher rates. And many times those are people you have to spend money on recruiters for.
Right. Now we did just do that. We just did. So last year we used the pipeline builder tool from LinkedIn, and they've tweaked that. So last year unfortunately, I had to make a 10K investment in the pipeline builder tool, and it made sense for us a year ago because we were building a commercial team and we were hiring 70 or 80 field-based commercial people. So we felt that would be even if we got one hire out of it, it was worth it, right? So we used the pipeline builder tool last year for the commercial build out. But quite frankly, I don't believe we produced a hire out of it. And it was a big investment. So this year they've made a change to it, which I appreciate, which is you don't have to make the full $10,000 investment in pipeline builder, and they call it something different. I think they call it LinkedIn targeted job campaign. You have to make a minimum investment of $1,000, and you can define most of the same parameters that the old pipeline builder tool had in it. So we just used it for a director of business development and alliances role. And again, unfortunately, we didn't produce what I was hoping for out of that. But I like the fact that you can really limit your spend on it and turn it on and off really quickly and tweak your parameters if you're not getting what you want.
Are you guys doing any direct sourcing? What tools are you using for that?
The LinkedIn recruiter seats primarily.
Okay.
At my last company, I built out a team of strategic sourcers and had them aligned to business units for the top 3 to 5 jobs in each business unit that was the toughest for them, and that
Mhm.
their organic application flow was relatively light. And so I took all of that team and I went through it myself. I found a really cool online training program called Social Ninja that
Oh yeah.
I discovered that at an ERE conference. I can't
Mhm.
remember the guy's name. He's from Ireland. I think they're
Yeah.
based in Ireland, but Johnny G, I think was his name. That was an absolutely fabulous training series. There were 12 different modules. What we did was we did 3 modules at a time, and then we took a break for 2 weeks to test and share what some of the key learnings were that my sourcing team got from each of those 3 modules,
Mhm.
and packaged it up in a presentation to the recruiting team, and then we went back to the next 3 modules. So we did that over the course of, let's say, it was 2 weeks on, 1 week to absorb it and share it, another 2 weeks on. So, it took us through, 3 to 4 months before we completed it. But then I had a team of sourcers who were able to do open web sourcing and not be totally dependent on the LinkedIn recruiter seats or have to pay for GitHub and Stack Overflow and some of the other things that we were paying money for, because they learned how to source those same candidates through the open web.
And were they doing it through like Seek Out or HireTool or one of those sort of tools, or they were just okay?
Yep, they had a variety of little Chrome extenders that they loaded to their laptops and worked off of, depending on what their specialty was.
Nice. I'd like to go back to the employer branding conversation. It sounds like you're doing stuff on LinkedIn, on your career site. Are you looking at like anything else, Glassdoor, Muse, I don't know, social recruiting, etc.?
Yeah, so we have our Glassdoor contract, which is coming up for renewal, and we'll be looking to maybe tweak that a bit, just as I did with LinkedIn, to maybe carve off some money. Yesterday, I had an informational call with Comparably,
Mm,
and tapped a couple of people within my network. Of some friends at a recruitment analytics firm that I've worked with for a few years, and anytime thinking about something new, I always say, "Hey, what do you know about this? And is it something that I should pursue?"
mhm,
And try to get some information before I hop on a call. But I did have a call yesterday with them, a guy that was a seventh or eighth employee originally with Glassdoor, and now there's a group that have spun off to do this. And the number one thing that I liked is that Glassdoor is oftentimes heavily weighted with comments and reviews from people that are no longer employed by you, which naturally drags down your score. Unfortunately, and if Glassdoor folks are listening, please, I apologize up front, but I think it's a necessary evil, right? You shouldn't. I couldn't completely go away from Glassdoor because it is just so well branded and such a go-to place. What I'll look at doing, if I can free up some money and not spend more, is maybe blend Glassdoor and Comparably, uh, because Comparably is focused specifically on your current employee base.
mm.
So it takes a different kind of an approach, and I'm curious to see. I think that naturally would drive more positive reviews and higher ratings overall. So
Yeah.
see what the end result of that decision is.
Yeah, I've looked at a lot of data around this, and like, there's no doubt. A friend of mine actually has a company that has like maybe a 4.1 rating on Glassdoor, and their current employee reviews is like a 4.4, and the past employee reviews is like a 1.6 on average, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like, who are writing these reviews? A lot of times, people who are upset. And what they did, because they honestly had like a pretty bad score, is they sort of ran a review campaign that just continues to run on a quarter by quarter basis, where they just ask people, and they don't select people in the company. They just have like a random list that they say, hey, if you got 10 minutes, write us a review, just like tell us how things are going. And most people are going to write you a 4 or 5 star review. So that sort of counterweights what might be going on if you have to trim people through an RFI or whatever. Or IF, sorry. So Yeah, that makes sense. Are you guys using any other tools on the talent acquisition side?
Not yet. No, we've made some significant investments. Again, we were 150 people when I joined the company, and there were little to no resources, both person or technology. And over the course of the couple of years, we've now got, our applicant tracking system and Reflective and Sage. And now we're looking at ways to, we've brought in a background check vendor named Sterling. And now for us, it's all about the integrations,
Mhm.
effectively integrating all of these things so that we're not, so we're recognizing the efficiencies that we should be.
Yeah.
So, all of our technologies are new to us, and we've had some changes over the last couple of years on our HR team. So people that are now working with these technologies, Stephen has been with the company probably coming up on about a year now. And we've got, a team of HR and TA leaders and our CHRO who are all um, learning how to use the tools that we have, and then working, across all of them to get them integrated effectively.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so it sounds like you're using Sage for like HRIS type stuff, payroll, um, and Sterling. Anything on the assessment side of things, like behavioral, cognitive, skill-based assessments?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're basically just kind of building our recruiting toolbox with
Mhm.
anything that is free and immediately available.
Makes sense. What about on like the culture side of the business, like employee engagement, performance management systems, anything interesting that you guys have done there that other people might want to have on their radars?
Yeah, I mean, we are working on building out our employee engagement program, and mid-year pulse checks or talent reviews, and putting more structure to our annual review processes. I know at my last company, at a, we used PwC. I think it was like Saratoga or something like that, as a third party vendor that did them for us twice a year, and then brought back the stratified information. So
Mhm.
I think there's a long way that we could go, but I think that we need to fully understand and absorb the technologies that we've already invested in before we bring more into the fold. I think we've got quite a bit of learning that we're still going through.
Awesome. Well, Jerry, thank you so much for being willing to jump on this call, do a video, share your insights, your sort of insider knowledge. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great weekend.